From the back roads and courthouse steps of small-town South Carolina to the late-night studio where the mics never sleep, this is where decisions, rumors, and real stories collide. You're tuned in to the Pot Stirrer Podcast with Jazzy Jeff. Real talk, local issues, no fluff.
All righty. Welcome in. We're glad to have you with us here on the Pot Stirrer Podcast here for this. This is Tuesday, the 21st of July. Can you believe that school starts back real shortly? And when I say shortly, matter of fact, teachers go back Monday and school starts back, I think, in August, the 1st of August. Want to welcome you into the show this evening here. We've got a ton of things to get to here in the allotted time. Right now, they're in the Law Enforcement, Public Safety, and Health and Welfare Committee meeting at the County Administrative Office Complex in Walhalla at South Pine Street. Want to let you know, for folks that are tuning in or join us, coming up tomorrow is one of the biggest shows here of the Pot Stirrer Podcast. We're going to get into conversations with both sides of the fire issue at the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Department. Of course, there is an inside battle between the new fire district and the former 501c3 volunteer organization. And coming up tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, we'll start the conversation. We will be hearing from the 501c3 side first. And then in the day or two, we will switch over and get to hear from our other side, which will be the 501, or the fire district folks, to find out exactly what the issues are and how can we best go forward to fixing this issue. Because this is to me, it's a very complicated issue and a very complicated problem that seems to be going on here. Want to welcome you if you just joined us or just tuning us in here. I want to make sure that, we are not running on the certain things that we need to run on. Hold on just 1 second. Let me bring those up to, there we go. And if you're just tuning us in on Facebook, I want to welcome you in again. This is the Pot Stirrer Podcast. We're going to go live here coming up in just a few moments to the Oconee County offices for the county council meeting. Matter of fact, I tell you what, let's catch in on the last half here of what is going on with the county. We'll go ahead and jump up there, and then we'll come back here and get everything set here in just a few moments. Right now, we're going to join up our friends up in Walhalla in the Oconee County Council chambers coming up right now.
But they're not for the flock stuff. So I think it's good we're having the discussion and letting people have their input and what they think out there too, because we do represent them. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you, Sheriff.
You want to hit on noise real quick, or?
No, we have.
We wiped that off.
We took it away. We got some additional amendments got to do to it, and we'll do it at a later time.
Sounds good.
We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
All right. Well, a motion to adjourn, but that is not it. We've got more coming up here. We will go back to Oconee County here in just a few moments. That was just part of the safety committee that they were doing. That's the Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee. They had a conversation earlier about the flock cameras with the Sheriff Mike Crenshaw, and also a discussion on the Oconee County noise ordinance. There's a couple of things that have come back into play in the county, and one of those being the Westminster Motor Speedway. We have been following that for the last few times, so we kind of got a little bit of a heads up of what's going on. The folks over in the Oconee area over in Westminster are they're wanting to, I guess the best way that you could describe it, that is they're wanting to reopen. They're kind of wanting to reopen that Westminster Speedway, and there's a couple of folks around there that live around there that have brought up a lot of problems about the noise and stuff. So again, we'll just have to sit and wait and see what happens. But again, there's supposed to be we're supposed to have the county council meeting coming up here shortly, I'm assuming, but apparently there's a little bit of an issue. If you're just tuning in or just joined us again tomorrow evening on the Podster podcast is going to be one of the biggest shows. We are again going to get into the issues that's plaguing the Corinth-Shiloh district. Back in 2024, during the November election, a referendum was held to incorporate that into a special tax district for firefighting for the fire department. Well, it did pass. And it seems from that point forward, everything started going downhill to the situation where we're at now. And then another issue that has been brought to the table or the attention is the issue concerning the fire commission and the ability to be elected by the citizens that live in there. The county is wanting to change that to an appointed position. And like I said, we are going to ask both sides. We're going to have a fair and a conversation coming up, and that's going to be tomorrow evening. So we will find out more of what's going on and find out what the crux of everything is. There's a lot of questions that I have that I'm going to be asking the folks coming up tomorrow. We'll start off with the 501c3 side. We'll find out just what's actually going on. And we'll talk a little bit about that coming up tomorrow. That show is going to be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, and it'll be right here. Again, I'm not quite sure what's going on because we were supposed to have a county council meeting to follow. Let me see here. We'll keep our ideas up here. Give me just one moment. I'm going to pull up something here on the program this evening. I hope everybody's had a great Thursday. And by the way, as we mentioned, school teachers, they report back to the classroom coming up on Monday, and school will be coming up on the following week, 1st of August, coming up this year. Let's see here for the council agenda, 6 p.m. It is now 6:08. There was a list of things that was supposed to be coming up here. There was an ordinance, of course, 2026-23, an ordinance amending the ordinance for entitled establishing the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Special Purpose District for fire protection. They're wanting to change in which the way the commissioners that was supposed to have been voted upon for by the citizens. However, the council's wanting to change that to, I guess, nominating those for the fire commission. So we'll hopefully have that on the way for you. We're just waiting now to see when they're going to get the link reestablished, because right now the link they just did is not working. So we'll find out what happens coming up here very shortly for you. So that's all I've got for you right now. I don't have anything else to tell you about right now. Again, that's what's coming up tomorrow on the show. So I'll tell you what we're going to do, being that that's apparently there is an issue. Looks like there is an issue here with the, let me go back to the live here and see what's going on here. Bear with us here. We're working on this to find out what's going on. Actually, we're going to go back here to videos and home. It looks like they're trying to fix the problem now as we speak. 6:15 is airtime, is what they're saying. We're about 5 minutes away, so they're going to go ahead. It started at 6:15 here, so bear with us here if you are just tuning in or just join us here. By the way, for all you Target folks, I want to let you know Target opened this afternoon at 5 p.m. So if you plan on going to Target, you can. It did open up at 5 p.m. this evening. Let's see what else we got here for you. Again, we'll have the county council meeting is coming up at 6:15. They have fixed the links, and we will go live here in just about 15 minutes or 5 minutes from right now. Let's see what we've got in other things. But yeah, just saw the pictures. Target is open. There was a lot of folks standing outside to get into Target. And maybe it's just me, but I don't really care. I'm doing all my shopping at Walmart and online and stuff, but it is kind of good for the economy and more people are going to shop. I do believe that Target may bring out a lot of folks from Northeast Georgia that doesn't want to go to Anderson. Now they'll drive over here to do the shopping. Again, we'll have Oconee County Council meeting coming up. This is one to pay attention to. It'll be the second reading of what a lot of folks are grabbing their attention to concerning the Corinth-Shiloh Fire District and the appointment of the commissioners instead of election. And then again, tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, we will start an in-depth investigation. We're going to have our friends from the 501c3. They're going to be on the show. Danny Del Marco is coming in, and we're going to ask some tough questions. And we're going to find out actually how all this went in play. But we also are going to give our friends on the other side an opportunity to talk and air what they see is going on. So we'll have all of that coming up for you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. The next date that you need to be on your calendar is going to be August the 11th. August the 11th is going to be the next Seneca City Council meeting, and it will be the final vote for the Seneca Light and Water budget. And of course, Oconee County Council meeting here in Walhalla with several major items on the agenda. Council is considering the purchase of a $1.86 million mining shovel for the Oconee County Rock Quarry. Staff say the larger equipment could cut the average time needed to load the quarry truck from 3.8 minutes down to 2.4 minutes. Council's also, we just mentioned, scheduled to give a second reading to changes involving the Corinth-Shiloh Purpose District for fire protection. The proposed would establish a 5-member commission with authority to prepare the district's budget, recommend property tax rate of 25 mills, hire the chief. All of this is what they're going to be doing. Other council business, including consideration for plans involving the preservation, redevelopment, and possible sale of the historic Oconee County Courthouse. Also, an upcountry fiber utility easement near Nebo Church Road, and a possible waiver of newly added solid waste tipping fees for small residential trash haulers. Council also has an executive session tonight concerning emergency services, infrastructure, county property, and an economic development matter known as Project Homecoming. Also, earlier today in the news, Oconee County Sheriff's Office has released a sketch of a person's investigators want to identify in the county's oldest unsolved homicide. Mark Lee, 56, was found dead inside his Claremont area home back in December of 1986. Investigators say they personally represented by the sketch was reportedly seen on the day Lee was killed. And anyone with information is encouraged to contact the Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers. Also, too, at upcoming elections, not only for our Senate seat, the U.S. Senate seat that was unfortunately vacated with the passing of Lindsey Graham, there will be 2 seats on the Oconee County School Board will be decided November 3rd general election. District 1 and District 3 seats will be up for election. Candidate filing packets will become available July the 27th, with filing period closing August the 17th at 11:30 in the morning. And also, too, our good friends at the Oconee Humane Society is participating in a National Adoption Week through Sunday at the Seneca PetSmart, giving residents and several opportunities to meet adoptable cats and dogs. Meanwhile, the Oconee County Sheriff's Office Community Cookout is underway right now until 8 at Yoder's Building Supply in Fairplay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is officially 6:15. And we are waiting to join back with Oconee County. We will continue coverage of the county council meeting coming up. And they're supposed to come back up here for the regular council meeting. You'll get to hear all of that in its entirety coming up here this evening while we're waiting for the county council information coming up. Again, we do have a local election coming up for November here. And now the latest news. We've got 2 school board seats that'll be coming up available on the District 1 and District 3. Again, August the 11th. That's the date you need to write down on your calendar. We'll have coverage on that day as well. of the Seneca City Council meeting here on the Pod Store. That'll be the final vote for the Seneca Light and Water budget. And we'll know more coming up about that in the 11th, if it passes or not. Tuesday evening, Podster. The show is available at the Podster at jazzyjeffpodster.com. Also on social media and Facebook. We're just awaiting right now the start of the council meeting. Of course, the time was supposed to be 6:15. They ran a little bit long in the previous meeting, which was the public safety and meeting that they normally have right before the county council meeting. And tonight we had Mike Crenshaw was speaking about the flock cameras. Again, that is a huge, huge topic right now, these flock cameras. There is some good in this flock, but there's also a lot of bad in these flock cameras. We've seen the stories now that are developing around the country and here locally, not in this particular area in the South, that these flock cameras are being used, I kind of want to say illegally, for capturing other information than what it was originally designed or intended for. And a lot of folks are bringing up a question of privacy and security, and is it worth the risk? And apparently, a lot of this is just coming to the forefront. These flock cameras, and we heard from Matt Durham. He talked about that. He didn't know what they were, and a lot of people are just now finding out what this flock camera is and what it does and the ramifications of what this flock camera has. I mean, this basically, it's government spying on you is what it's doing. And there's a lot of things that say, well, this is good. You can catch things. Well, yes, but when you have the known people that's supposed to be used to protect this information, when they're using this information for their advantage, it's not a good thing. It really isn't a good thing. So that's definitely going to be a topic of conversation. Not only that's going to be happening here locally, that's going to be coming up and happening here on a national front, because these flock cameras are getting they're getting a bad name, bad target. And again, we've got people that are using these for some ulterior motives. They're using these for things of other illegitimate opportunity. They're spying on you. There's no other way to put it. That's what they're using for. So they're definitely spying on it. What else do we have to say or going on here in news headlines around Oconee County? We're just waiting for the start here of the county council meeting for tonight. Oh, let's see here. Official qualifying open today in South Carolina to the vacant U.S. Senate seat in the opening. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go now.
All right, everyone, thanks for coming out.
Holly
Thanks
here.
for bearing with us for the late start. The time is now 6:18 p.m., July 21st, 2026. I call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the Oconee County Council. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Mr. Joel Smith, would you please pray for us?
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the day that you've given us. We thank you, Father, for your grace and mercy that's been on us, and even the time that was had in the preliminaries. We thank you for that, Father. We thank you that we live in a country where we have the freedom to gather as such, to have voices heard. We thank you for the council, the way you've led them, the wisdom you've given, and we pray, Father, that in the name of Jesus, that you would give them wisdom tonight as they govern. We pray, Lord, that you'd help us to be civil and that our voices would be heard. But we pray most of all that you receive glory as you ought in all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Devin Clay, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
On this, we have county attorney comments.
No, sir, not at this time.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have county administrative comments.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reference Director Caudill, if he could come up for a moment and give us just a little presentation on Noah's box.
Hey, everybody, thank you. So, very exciting. Some of y'all seen the news the last couple of days. News 7 covered it, and we've had a couple more news agencies. So what we did through emergency management is autism is really a big subject today, and we deal with it on a day-to-day basis a lot of times with our community. So emergency management was able to work along with some of the guys from the fire side and came up with a great idea through Noah's Box. They found it through another meeting with Oconee County, and Oconee County had already started doing some of this. But Noah's Box will be put on fire trucks, police cars, deputy vehicles, rescue vehicles for the county. And what is in it is for kids with autism is kind of a deal to help keep them comfortable when we get on the scene. There's also things that go in here like the stickers for the windows and the doors. When we run calls a lot of times with the fire and the EMS and rescue, we can be overwhelming with lights, sirens, and people. So if we know that we're going into one of the situations where we're going to be dealing with that, we're teaching how to back out, let one person go in, assess the situation. Things that we carry in here, we carry for nonverbal. We have things with pictures, so if we have nonverbal children, but they can tell us what's going on through pictures, we can do that. We also have, it's a teddy bear, but it's weighted, it's like a weighted blanket for kids that have autism to keep them more comfortable. Of course, we have stuffed animals. There's all kind of visual aids in here that help keep them focused on different things while we're in there. But I just want to take a minute to tell you we're really working hard on some of the things that we're doing, and I give emergency management a lot of credit for this, along with one of our battalion chiefs with the county that played a role in helping get this done. And I think that you're going to see more and more of what we're doing every day to try to help bring better things into the county. But if you have any questions about it, please contact emergency management with the county. If you have a child with autism, please let us know. We do have stickers that will go on doors and windows to make sure that when we arrive on the scene, we know what we're going into, so we don't overwhelm the scene, because sometimes we can be very overwhelming. So we're doing that to try to make sure that when we get in there, we can work with these children and make sure things are done right. So, but it's a great deal. Like I said, we've already got a few of them in the county. We're working with the sheriff's department to put some on at least 3 or 4 of the patrol cars. We may work with the cities to also put 1 or 2 possibly in the city patrol cars, our rescue squads, and our fire department. So, and we're doing training on them as we speak, and as we get trained on them, we're putting them on that equipment. But they have a lot of really good stuff in here. There's earphones in here, like to drown out noise. We carry 2 sets of those in each box. And all of this is done through donations. None of this has come out of county tax dollars. We've been able to work really hard to do that, and so everything that we've done has been through donations through different organizations. So, but I just want to take a minute and tell you about it. I know it's been on the news, but I kind of was really proud of it, and I want to take a minute to show you what we're working on that side of the table. So if you got any questions, you'd like to look at it after the meeting, let me know. I'd love to show it to you, but I just won't take up a lot of your time, but I do appreciate you at least letting me talk about it and show you. So. And again, I'm just proud of where we're going with it, so, and thank you. Thank you,
Mr. Caudill, is there any information for the public to where if they'd love to donate to support these, you got information on that?
Yeah, just get in touch with our emergency management department, with Scotty Smith, and talk to him. That would be the best way to do that. I talked to him about that yesterday, and he said just make contact with emergency management through our website, and they could direct you and how do we need to do that to get donations. So we are working with some nonprofits that have helped us a little bit with donations on that already. So and we got some more feelers out right now for some donations to get these done. So, but yeah, just contact them through emergency management through our website, and that would be the way to do that.
Thank you.
And Scotty would be the person to talk to. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Jones?
That's all this time.
Hearing none. Next, we have the consent agenda. We have any items anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda? I hear none. We have a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Next, we have a proclamation. We have one proclamation. And I just want to say before reading this proclamation, in this hyper political environment that we're in these days, people tend to lose sight of our humanity. sometimes. Senator Graham, he did begin service, public service here in Oconee County, representing or serving this very body as Assistant County Attorney. I know over the years, I have been a vocal critic myself of Senator Graham and some of his policies. But I do want to say that my family does owe some gratitude to Senator Graham. My sister and her family, back late 90s, early 2000s, I lose track of the time now, was missionaries in Ivory Coast in Africa. And Ivory Coast was a stable country up to that point where they broke out in the Civil War. And they was mad at the French, but they was on a killing spree of foreigners. And there was nobody to help them get out of the country except for Senator Graham. He was in the House at the time. And he coordinated with the Spanish government to get them evacuated on a Spanish military flight. There was missionaries that refused to leave. They've not been heard of since. But his actions and constituent services in that case spared my sister, her husband, and their children. And for that, I am grateful. So I'm going to read this proclamation for Senator Graham. It's Proclamation 2026-07, a proclamation of Oconee County Council honoring the life and service of United States Senator Lindsey Olin Graham. Whereas Lindsey Olin Graham was born July 9th, 1955 in Central South Carolina, the son of Millie and F.J. Graham, who owned and operated a restaurant, pool hall, and liquor store, where he learned early the value of hard work and plain dealing. And whereas after the loss of both parents, 15 months apart, he assumed legal guardianship of his younger sister, Darlene, while still a young man, placing family above all else. And whereas he became the first member of his family to attend college and earned his law degree from the University of South Carolina, and gave 33 years of military service as a judge advocate in the United States Air Force, Air Force Reserve, South Carolina Air National Guard, retiring at the rank of colonel. And whereas Senator Graham made his home in Seneca, Oconee County, South Carolina, where he practiced law and lived among the people of this county for the rest of his life. And whereas he served the people of Oconee County directly as Assistant County Attorney from 1988 to 1992, providing legal counsel and service of this very council and practiced law in Walhalla alongside attorneys who later served with distinction in local, state, and federal government. And whereas in 1992, the voters of Oconee County elected him to the South Carolina House of Representatives from District 2, the first public office he ever held, and the place where a lifetime of elected service to South Carolina began. And whereas he was elected to the United States House of Representatives from the 3rd Congressional District in 1994 and to the United States Senate in 2002, where the people of South Carolina returned him 4 times and where he served until his death. And whereas across 5 decades of combined military and public service, Senator Graham rose to national and international prominence, yet Oconee County always remained his home, and he remained deeply connected to the citizens who first entrusted him with public office. And whereas Senator Graham passed away suddenly on July 11th, 2026, at the age of 71, and is mourned by his sister, family, and staff, as well as the people of South Carolina and the nation. Now therefore be it proclaimed by Oconee County Council, a meeting duly assembled, that the council does hereby honor the life, memory, and service of United States Senator Lindsey Olin Graham, express its deepest condolences to his family, and gives thanks for a life of service that began here in Oconee County and reached the highest councils of the nation. And be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be presented to the family of Senator Graham and enter permanently into the minutes of Oconee County Council, the same public record in which his name first appeared a generation ago.
So motion. Second.
All in favor? Next, we have public comment. So for public comment, if you've not commented before, it's just the public comments is not an out back with council in the comment. There's another session following that is council member comment. Council members may respond. You have 5 minutes, and Ms. Adams has a timer. It'll count down from 5 minutes. At the 1 minute mark, it'll go yellow. And I will try to remember, since you're looking right at me, to hold up a yellow sign. When time's up, time's up. We ask that you please keep the topic on issues that pertain to county governance. And also, please, if somebody says something a lot, please hold applause, because we do have a lot of speakers lined up. We want to move through everyone as quickly as we can. There is a 50-minute time limit, but we'll evaluate that as we get closer to that time. But just be respectful of everybody's time. Let's move through, hold applause, and I appreciate you all coming out to speak.
First, we have Mr. Richard Pug. Sorry.
Do we stand in here?
Come straight up to the.
Yes, sir.
Straight up.
And I just ask when you come up, please say your name again for the record.
It's Richard Pugh.
Richard Pugh, thank you.
Yes, thank you. One of the first things is that I am never in favor of a tax, a new tax. However, the people of Oconee County voted to put the new tax in for the Corinth-Shiloh Fire District. And based on that, I'm willing to accept that, based on the people's will. However, what I'm seeing is that they are wanting to take and renege on the cap that they told everyone who voted that they were going to keep it at 25 mils, and now they want to remove that cap. Now, I'm an engineer by profession, and I tend to overanalyze things sometimes. But I have to wonder why they want to remove that cap in order to get more money. And the Fire Commission, which I just recently learned about, is overseeing this. And there's only one reason why I can think, just keeping it very, very simple, is it's a money tree. That apparently somebody has got their sights on taking more money from the people of the Corinth-Shiloh Fire District and using it for other purposes. And it could be within the fire district overall, but shifting that money over to other I guess I'm saying correctly, districts, other than the Corinth-Shiloh. And I just want to say I go on record against removing any cap, and that we should, I guess we need to shoot down that proposal of what they're trying to do right now.
That's right.
Thank you.
Donald Sanders.
I do just want to say, before other speakers come up, there's been no suggestion of removing the cap. The only suggestion that came to council was to put it in a referendum so that the public could vote for there to be any increase. That's all.
It didn't read that way.
At all.
Mr. Sanders?
Lauren Ballard.
Hello, Oconee Council members. My name is Lauren Ballard, and I am the creator of DFLOC Oconee County. I am a resident here in beautiful Oconee County, and I am also an Auburn University graduate in geospatial and environmental informatics. So with that being said, I know a lot of stuff about data, GIS. I can make things like that map over there. I know a lot of data whenever it comes to roads, that type of thing. So whenever the issue of flock cameras came up within Oconee County, I started immediately diving into all of the data and trying to figure out who exactly owns these, where is this data going, how is this data being used, and one thing with that, and one thing I want to preface before I go any further, is that with DFLOC Oconee County, I do not want there to be any destruction of flock cameras within Oconee County. I believe the way to resolve issues is through conversation, just like with Charlie Kirk. And so with that, one of our biggest qualms with these cameras is that these cameras went up without any of us citizens being asked. There's no input from the public about where these cameras should have gone, how they went up and everything. So Flock Safety also says that they don't sell our data, but the answer to that is we can hope for sure, or we don't know for sure if they sell our data or not. The only way we can know is through an intense legal process with lots of money and lots of time. And obviously, I don't have the money or the time to do all of that. So with that, I also want to go off of the point made earlier. What if these cameras were in place during COVID? What if you were fined for not wearing your mask properly? What if you were fined for not following the stickers on the floor in the grocery store? The question I want to ask you is, how could these cameras be used against us citizens in the future? My final question is, what will your legacy in this critically important moment of our county be? How will you be remembered regarding this issue of flock safety cameras whenever it is such a national issue? And there's so many comments within my Facebook group, and especially with my other posts online. There's, hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments. Everyone is pretty confused on this issue. But I would love just some guidance on that, of course, which we have gotten earlier from you. And the goal is, how can we resolve this issue and move forward with something that is constitutionally correct with our rights. So thank you so much.
Howard McCarthy.
Good evening, council members. My name is Valerie McCarthy. I'm a Oconee County citizen here. I also ironically work in the field of patient safety, so I'm familiar with safety as a whole. And but I want to begin kind of expressing just my appreciation for Sheriff Crenshaw and the men and women of law enforcement who work every day to protect our community. My concern is not with their integrity or their mission. I trust our sheriff and our local law enforcement, but my concern is about the technology of the flock camera itself and the precedent that we're setting. So the Supreme Court has been sending a pretty clear message over the last several years. In United States versus Jones, it recognized that long-term GPS tracking raises Fourth Amendment concerns. In Carpenter, it said our historical location information can reveal what is called the privacies of life and generally requires a warrant. And more recently, the court recognized that a detailed location histories, or that our detailed location histories collected through those smartphone apps raise the same constitutional concerns. And why is that? Because really technology has changed. It's changed a lot. And today it's possible to collect, store, and search years worth of information about where completely innocent people have traveled. And that's something that just simply wasn't possible before. One camera doesn't tell much, but hundreds of thousands of connected cameras, as we heard from Sheriff Crenshaw today, that there's a lot of different agencies kind of accessing these cameras across the nation. Combine that over months or years can really reveal an extraordinarily detailed picture of a person's life, where they worship, who they spend time with, what doctors they visit, what political meetings they attend, and their daily routines. And that's fundamentally different from an officer observing a vehicle on a public road. And so here's what concerns me the most. I trust that Sheriff Crenshaw can set policies for his deputies, but he can't control every agency that may have access to a broader information sharing network. He can't control future sheriffs, he can't control future laws, and he can't control how this technology might be expanded 5 or 10 years from now. And our Constitution was written because power changes hands. Constitutional safeguards have to be built into the system, and they should never be dependent on whoever happens to be in office today. I believe we can support law enforcement and protect constitutional liberty at the same time. I don't believe those two things are in conflict, but my hope is that Oconee County will be thoughtful about where this technology leads, not just where it stands today, and that we make sure our constitutional rights keep pace with the technology instead of slowly being left behind. Thank you.
My name is Dave Crockett, and I live at 820 Alpine Drive in Seneca. You've heard from me before, including Councilman Hart, who heard from me just last Thursday. I was actively involved in the petition drive and public meetings seeking to establish the special tax district for the Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department back in 2024. I'm here this evening to express my concerns over council's desire to amend the ordinance creating the tax district and governing the commission charged with managing the transition to a paid department. What at issue is accountability. The original ordinance called for the transition of the commission group initially appointed by county council to elected positions in November of 2026. It's my understanding now that the commissioners themselves want to sidestep that election. Elected representation provides a mechanism for fiscal accountability going forward, just as it does for members of this county council. That transitional provision was a key point in selling the referendum to taxpayers in the district. Simply abolishing the concept of elected commissioners entirely after the fact is, in my opinion, nothing short of a slap in the face to me and those of us who voted for the fire district. I understand and appreciate, truly, that the current appointed commission has had a Herculean task steering the department through a challenging period, and I commend them for keeping the millage at less than 25% up to this point. And if the transition to elected posts needs to be delayed for whatever reason, or no reason at all, so be it. But the revised ordinance as written offers absolutely no assurance that the fire commissioners ever will be elected. That is entirely unacceptable to me, and I, for one, will hold both the commission and this county council accountable for that decision in the future, if it holds. Accountability at all levels of government matters. Full stop. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Wayne Smith, and I represent the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District as chairman. On behalf of the commission, I'm asking you to support ordinance amendment to appoint commissioners for 2 years. Before I start, I want to say that the commission respects the volunteers of the former Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department and the rich history they have developed in protecting our community since 1963. When this commission was established less than 2 years ago, it was our goal to include and partner with the volunteers to establish this new organization. In the first year, we partnered and worked with them by allowing their chief to be the commission interim fire chief until we could hire our present chief in January this year. We allowed the volunteers to establish the fire chief hiring policy and be on the panel to conduct interviews. When the committee narrowed the candidate list to 2 candidates for commissioners to discuss and determine who we would hire, the volunteers were unanimous and they demanded that we hire Chief Dave. We hired our chief on January the 1st of this year, within 3 weeks, I began receiving calls from the volunteers of complaints and demands that he be terminated. 3 weeks. I sat down with 2 of the volunteer 501c3 board members and listened to their concerns, and I asked for patience and time to work through these concerns. As I reviewed these concerns and discussed with the commission, it was clear the main issue was the loss of control from the volunteer board. This year we have been trying to reach a transition agreement contract which would establish an orderly transfer of facilities and equipment, but we have met delays, opposition, and demands from the former volunteer 501c3 board. The commission was forced to seek legal counsel because of this, and at present, both the commission and the volunteer 501c3 attorneys are working to come to an agreement. There has been misinformation on social media that the commission is trying to raise taxes above 25 mills. This is simply untrue. The ordinance states that if the commission submits a budget greater than 25 mills, the commission can petition the county council to grant it, and then the county council decides. That's in the ordinance. Our position as the commission is that if in the future, if a different commission is in here and wants to go above 25 mills, it should go to the taxpayers and let the taxpayers decide. The commission has delivered 2 budgets under 25 mills. And as long as I'm chairman, I will do whatever I can to keep the millage rate as low as possible and below 25 mills. It's my understanding that the ordinance on taxation will stay as is. There's also been a statement saying that the county council is denying taxpayers the right to elect commissioners. This is misleading. The referendum that was passed in November of 2024 did not stipulate that the commission board be elected, but that the governing body be established and composed of 5 commissioners. Currently, there are 10 special purpose tax districts in the state of South Carolina that have appointed commissions. The Oconee County Council has the authority to establish appointed or elected commissions or abolish the special purpose tax district altogether. Right now, the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District Commission is working through vital transitional issues from the former volunteer fire department model. As I've stated, we're working on a transition agreement which will transfer the facility, equipment, and assets to the special purpose district. We're also upgrading much-needed firefighter turnout gear, and fire hose that was expired and therefore unsafe. In my opinion, now is not the time to potentially turn over the commission with an election before this vital transition is complete. So I respectfully ask that you support this, not because an elected commission is a bad thing, but because timing matters and this district deserves a chance to succeed and to finish what we were challenged to complete. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Lisa Eister. I am a resident of Oconee County and have been for many decades. I am here tonight not for the he said, she said. I understand that you are men of this county that care about our county. How many of you live in the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Tax District? Any of our council members live in the actual district? You do not. I'm here tonight because there's been a lack of transparency. The members of the Corinth-Shiloh Special Fire District were not notified that you all were seeking to amend the ordinance that we voted on in November of 2024. We had to find out through social media and the newspaper. The taxpayers of the district voted to approve this ordinance in November of 2024. My husband and I voted for it. We have the greatest appreciation for our firefighters, past and present. We felt like this was the best path forward for Corinth-Shiloh Fire Department to have a special tax district. Therefore, we voted for it. We were appalled to learn that an ordinance is going forward that removes our ability to vote and choose commissioners. I respect Mr. Smith's comments on that, but let me read. It says, the original ordinance that we voted on as taxpayer says, the commission shall initially be appointed by Oconee County Council, which appointment shall occur soon after the enactment of the ordinance is reasonably possible. Thereafter, the commission shall be elected by qualified electors of the tax district during the general elections held in November of 2026. You all are putting forth an ordinance that removes the taxpayers' ability to vote and elect commissioners, our representatives. It's called taxation without representation. That is my issue with this ordinance. It is a slippery slope to remove our right to elect commissioners and remove our right to vote. When you had us vote on this ordinance to begin with, it feels like a shell game. Vote on this ordinance, then we can take away your right to vote. We can take away your rights as taxpayers. Council members, each of you are not funding this tax district. Hardworking taxpayers are funding this tax district. We deserve the right to the original ordinance to elect our commissioners. I understand Mr. Smith's concerns, but that's not changed the fact that you are about to force on us taxation without representation that we have chosen as taxpayers. I urge you to reconsider. I urge you to honor the ordinance. that the hardworking taxpayers of Oconee County and of Corinth-Shiloh Special Fire District voted for. Thank you.
Martin.
Gentlemen, hello. My name is Kerry Sartain. I'm a resident of the tax district. I agree with most of the comments that have already been made, most of them, not all. And looking at the proposed amendment, there are a number of issues, the way it's written. Obviously, the appointment without election is a major one. There's ambiguity inside regarding, in one place, you'll take the 25 mil funds will be used at the district. In other ways, it implies that money is somewhere else. But I really have one major point to make, and that is that I think that there has been a mismanagement all through this time. I'm not sure how long your Fire Advisory Commission has been in effect. Listening to their meeting on the 16th, became very evident there's a very high lack of communication between them and you guys. So that's something you guys need to correct. Number two, if in the beginning, if the county had applied funding across all the fire districts according to their call volume, that would have been a fair way to do it. And that's what hurt the Corinth-Shiloh district to start with. You were not applying funding equally across the departments according to the call volume. So in reality, we never needed this special tax district. If the funding had been applied correctly, then you would have never had to have a tax district. Now, I was all for good protection, good emergency services, good fire protection. Initially, I was going to vote in favor, but when I learned about the ambiguities going on, I voted against it. And I really feel that this needs to be rescinded. The tax district needs to be rescinded. And I will work in the future to gather the signatures to bring it to a vote to rescind the tax district. Thank you.
Christine Levesque.
Good evening, Chairman and Council members. My name is Christine Levesque, and I'm a resident of the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Tax District. Tonight, you're not simply considering this amendment to a fire district ordinance. You're asking to take away the voters' rights in the Corinth-Shiloh Tax District. A lot of these topics have already been covered in the previous speakers, so I'm really going to kind of focus in on the fact that I'm not quite sure if you want to be about transparency and fairness and accountability, how we would take away the voters' rights and make it county appointed. As you heard Chairman Smith's comments earlier, there's obviously some discrepancies between him and his own ordinance that he provided you guys tonight. There's nothing that says in there about the taxpayers having a right to vote or having any decision on tax increases. But I have a recording from last week's commission meeting where Chairman Wayne Smith specifically said to a resident that asked questions about this ordinance. In his words, he said, the change hasn't been made or the change that's been asked for is in alignment with other tax districts in the state. And those require, when you go above a maximum millage, they require a referendum and the taxpayers vote on it and the taxpayers decide. That's not in the ordinance I'm reading here. The ordinance before you gives the county council the ability to do that. Another thing that he discussed with the resident or the residents that were in the commission meeting was the second topic of the voter supplied commission, where he said that this was his verbatim. The second change is to change from a voter-supplied commission to appointment commission for a temporary basis, and that's for 2 years. Well, clearly the ordinance doesn't say that that either. So I would ask you, council, to examine the type of appointments that we have right now that clearly are bringing up trust, accountability issues with the taxpayers. If I can't trust them to be giving me the right information in their own commission meetings, I'm not going to be able to trust any future appointments from this county council. We were provided, or the volunteers were asked to provide 5 council members when this whole ordinance or the establishment of the special purpose district was established. You guys only picked 1 person out of the 5 we recommended, and you appointed 4, including 1 that is a family member. That's some serious concerns on my part. So I ask you today if you would reject this ordinance in its entirety, protect the taxpayers, protect local representation, and transparency. This is a special purpose district. By definition, it is governed by local district, by the residents, not by county council. Anyway, I just ask that you protect the right of the Corinth-Shiloh citizens. Thank you for letting me speak.
James Miller?
Oh, I'm up. I did not know that I signed up for this. I thought we were signing in just to be here, but good evening, council members. Back when this first was brought to our attention about the taxes to be increased, I decided that I needed to find out what this was all about. And so I attended 3 of these sessions that were given by the volunteers at the firehouse. And at 2 of those, I asked the question, if the mill would ever increase. At 2 of those sessions, I was told no. Here we are, a year and a half later after we passed it. We're already hearing that you want to increase the mill. I'm not sure how that happened so fast. Also, I asked the question, who would be in charge of taking care of the funding or the distribution of the funds? And I must have misunderstood because I thought it was going to be the county council. I didn't know that there was a special district or a special fire commission that was appointed to it. So I missed that part. Also, one of the other questions that I had asked at the meeting was about the volunteers. And I was assured that we would continue to have volunteers. And now I'm hearing that that's not the case. I don't know whether that's true or not. You know how the rumors are. One of the things that I'd like to say, I've never met any of you. It's my fault. I should have come to these meetings before. But my feeling about this referendum or ordinance or whatever it is, you all have already decided, or it wouldn't be on the agenda. So I don't know why we're standing here talking about it. Because you've made up your mind that you want to do it your way, not the taxpayers' way. We're the ones that pay the bills. And the lady just asked if any of you live in Oconee County, or in our area, Shiloh, excuse me, and none of you live there. Now, some of us are limited on income now. And I think it's time for you to start realizing that we don't have a bank that we can just go to anytime you want to take more money from us.
That's right.
And I think that this whole thing has been prejudged by you as the county commissioners, and it will probably pass no matter what we say. By the way, I didn't introduce myself. James Miller. I live in Bayshore. And I've gone to the fire district several times to thank them because I do appreciate what they do for us. I think I better get back to my seat now. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Tim Murphy. I've been with the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Department for 13 years. Okay. During a lot of this time, we had great relations with our communities. We had bake sales, we had open houses, we had kids' activities where they could come get in the fire engine. We had chili cook-offs. Halloweens, we took candy as many places as we could take candy. They knew our names, and we knew theirs. Okay. But things were getting busy during the years. We're volunteers. We got to get up and go to work the next day. And we would wind up running more calls than the average paid station would. Okay? We started wearing out. So we started looking at a special tax district, and as well you well know, it passed. Okay? And I'm going to piggyback on a couple of things Christine said. Yeah, we brought the people that we thought were going to be the commissioners down. They came down to our fire station a lot. They watched our training. We had meets and greets for our community members. They came in, and we got to know them well. They came to one of these meetings. We wrongly thought you would support us and vote in these people. You didn't. You did one. Yeah, one of you appointed a relative. We felt stabbed in the back. We didn't know the new people we got. But you did it. And the people recognize it. The people in our community are not stupid. They get this stuff that you all are doing. Okay, so they're working with us, right? Okay, let me ask you this. They turned off the copier. Our copier, they blocked us from making our own copies. What they told us to do? Go to Staples. Is that working with us? They took our firemen's gear out of the lockers and threw it on the ground. Is that working with us? Some of our best call people were just taken off the rolls. Taken off the rolls entirely. Been a lot of things going on. I'm just naming a couple, a whole lot of things going on. But last Monday, we went to our meeting down there. Been going there for many years. We were locked out. You know what else they did? They called the police on us. They called the police on us. I served as a naval aviator for 20 years, as a public school teacher for 18 years, was almost killed on Old Clemson Highway, flown to Greenville, not expecting to live, and I'm locked out and had the police called on me. What kind of people do this? No wonder the county doesn't support you all, or the commissioners. No wonder. Yeah, we feel like we're being run out of Dodge. We really do. Yeah, maybe we made a mistake on getting the right chief. It happens. Maybe y'all made a mistake when you decided to pick your own people instead of letting the voters decide. And now you're going to do it again. You're trying to do it again. You want to pick the commissioners. Let the voters decide. And I know people can twist things and this ordinance, that, and everything. But again, I talk to people in Bayshore, and they're not happy. They call me. They're not happy, and they know what's going on. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name's Douglas Wayne Hedden Jr. I live at Mountain Rest, South Carolina. I'm a taxpayer in Oconee County. Don't mind paying my taxes. Don't mind doing my fair part. I understand that 5 individuals can only do so much, and we can't make everybody happy. Okay, but with that being said, have we ever heard that old saying, what happens in the dark always comes to light?
That's right.
Have we ever heard that if you ain't got nothing to fear, why you worried about it? Well, let me throw a couple things out here, okay? And I'm on something different than what's been discussed past couple minutes, the flock cameras. Now, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, that's the reason it's called America. I served in the Marine Corps, retired out of it, so I've seen what a surveillance state will do to you in the long term.
They'll kill your mama.
Now, if you ain't seen it, you'll live it if this keeps on, or our grandchildren will. You better take that to the bank. Your grandchildren will. I got a 13-year-old son's probably gonna live this, if this don't get nipped in the butt. And it's biblical in my opinion. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you something. What happens in the dark always comes to the light. And the other one, you ain't got nothing to hide. Why worry about it? Look, I'm not saying we don't have good law enforcement in this county. I believe we do. I believe we got one heck of a sheriff's department. I really do. But here's the thing about that. I'm trying to address everybody in the room. These cameras were put up without anybody that pays taxes being told about it.
That's right.
You're right.
Whether you agree with them or not, they were put up. It's not their fault. I'm taking the blame off of them. It's not them. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, the sheriff's office is a different mumbo jumbo election process, okay? However that's worded, I don't know. They were put up without us knowing, so it come to light finally. Okay? So, with that being said, it's come to light. Now, if the individual or individuals that were responsible and had the final say-so, use your imagination, do your own research on it. They had the final say-so of putting these things up in our town. Okay, we can't keep them all down. Whether you are a sheriff, whether you're a police chief, I don't care how you word it, what your title is. If you done it without going through the people that pay the bills of this county and voted to put you in office, then you're wrong. It's a surveillance tool that can be used from West Coast to East Coast, North, South. I can be in California sitting in the office in San Diego and punching a tag number, and I can tell you what this gentleman right here, or that lady right there, or that man right there, or anybody in this room has been doing up under them surveillance cameras right here in the next 2 or 3 counties, or anywhere in the United States he's been, or her. I hope, and if I make you mad, I make you mad, I hope you wake up. It's nothing more than a surveillance tool with all these big data centers to control each and every one of us in this room once it gets into effect. Now, if you think it's not, I hope you live to be 150 and watch your grandchildren or their grandchildren. Because they're going to be living it, people. I've seen it with my own eyes. And if you ain't seen it, you need to wake up. Americans are spoiled. They don't think it's going to happen. Am I mad? No, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm very disappointed that we're paying out of our own pockets to be surveyed of what we do on these highways. Yes, you have a right to cut these off. I got 10 seconds. You have a right not to walk in the places that got video camera monitoring you. But going down the highway, you got to travel that to take your child to school, go to work. They're watching everything you do, and it's going to grow. and your children are gonna pay for it if you don't stop it now. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Danny Delmarco. I want to clear up some of the inaccuracies that are out there, especially just hearing some of the comments going on so far before us. Yes, there are a lot of issues between the volunteer organization and the tax district. The appointed members that you appointed had over a year and a half, if not more, and it'll be 2 years upon their expiration to get this supposedly worked out. They're asking for an additional 2 years to try to fix something that they still haven't been able to work out. We have sent many negotiations back and forth with them. We want to work together, and we're being told no from their chief and at all that there will not be no consolidation. So to clear that fact that we're trying to work together, that Mr. Smith said, our attorneys are, but we have emails that we'd be glad to provide to you that Chief Dave has said, no, there's not going to be any type of consolidation from his mouth. Okay, clear point number one. Number two, yes, there is their new fire department. So as a member, I've been volunteering for this will be my 35th year to the county, would have been. But I'm not allowed to join their membership without submitting an application. Okay, we have probably a good 10 to 15 highly qualified people, EMTs. There's 2 MTs that applied to this new district that were turned down. How would you feel if you were having a heart attack and the taxpayer employees were on a call and you had a heart attack knowing that they rejected 2 highly qualified EMTs just because they spoke out against what's going on and the debacle that's taking place with these appointed commissioners? Sounds pretty risky under my book, and that's not right to the citizens. It's all about the citizens of that district, and considering they're playing with people's lives, that's very scary on that. We were there for our last meeting before we got kicked out and had the police called on us. They were on a 3-hour call. We had over 10 people there that were highly trained and qualified. If there was a medical call, because we have a lot of call overlap, you know what would have happened? We had to sit there and unfortunately let that family member, because they decided it was more important for egos and more important to not allow us to work together. So the fact that you would want to reappoint these individuals is scary to me. Going into reading your ordinance, because it sounds like there's some confusion on the ordinance and it would take up a lot of my time, but the voters' rights have already been taken away. If you read the current 24-26 ordinance, it clearly states about filling vacancies. And you all, Mr. Durham, signed off on this, and it's there, so you all should probably know what you signed off about in an ordinance. Any vacant seat on the commission shall be filled in the next general election after the vacancy occurs or by special election if the vacancy occurs 180 days or more prior to the general election. Signed by Matt Durham. On your March 17th meeting, under Board Commission Appoints, this county council appointed, Mr. Durham made a nomination unanimously approved to appoint Mr. Flint Baldwin to serve on the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District. That goes against the ordinance that you all signed. Now, I know you guys are sticklers for details and you got a lot going on, but how would you miss your own ordinance that says that gentleman needed to be elected? Seems pretty clear. If I read the new ordinance, I know Mr. Durham said something about no, the citizens will vote. If there is to be an increase in millage, I refute what you say, and I respectfully ask that you read the ordinance. If you go on to say there, it says on the back page of it that county council would approve. So if this fire commission that's appointed and the taxpayers don't have a right to vote on them, county council could say, you know what, we need 30 mills. And there's no representation from the people from that district on that side. So that's a pretty significant fact. So if they do a bad job, the only way to come back is to come and speak in front of you, and then we would have to wait for you guys to come up for election and say, hey, look, we can't vote for so-and-so because he agreed to appoint these people. They've had 2 years to create this mess, and unfortunately, it's a shame that we've had to go out and get a lawyer. They got an attorney first, so let's just be clear. We went and got ours, because their attorney was at a meeting, and then we had to get ours, okay? And this is all waste of taxpayer money, and it's all waste of anything. There's no accountability. As far as transparency, they're not following the budget. There's things that they've made expenditures on. We don't, if they need it, great, but you still have to follow rule, transparency, and they haven't done that. So reappointing them would be a grave decision and hurt the Corinth-Shiloh tax district. Thank you.
Please hold applause. We got a long meeting. Miss Adams is trying to say the names and people can't hear from the applause. I ask that you please respectfully hold applause.
Mr. Bill Box.
Good evening. My name is Bill Box, and I am a property owner in the Oconee County, specifically in the Corinth-Shiloh tax district. I'm here to express my disagreement with the current proposed ordinance to change the structure of the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Tax District. Let me begin by saying I have served as a volunteer with the Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department since 2008. I've held positions as first responder, firefighter, vice president, president, fire marshal, and most recently chaplain. Although I may live across the river, my heart is very much involved in this district. I've also served as a volunteer, a fire marshal, and chaplain with the tax district. That ended last week after the sheriff's office was called when our membership wanted to conduct its monthly meeting, which was required to be held at our station. However, I'm not here to discuss that topic with you. I want to specifically address one other aspect that is in this ordinance, since I believe others are addressing the consequences, and I think they've done an outstanding job of increasing taxes and taking away the rights of the district to elect our own commissioners, which I believe, of course, is wrong. I am addressing the part of the ordinance that states, any property or equipment used to serve the citizens of the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District shall remain with the Special Purpose District. Now let me begin by saying that the Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department is a South Carolina corporation. All right? It is not some volunteer organization, nonprofit, that exists at the expense or the whim of the membership. To be clear, I believe the ordinance sets up the county for an illegal taking of property owned by a private corporation. Forcing the taking of property by moving this ordinance forward will only force the corporation to liquidate our assets and pay off our obligations. In good faith and with the support of the community several years ago, the Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated embarked upon a renovation of our existing station and worked with the county to build a substation on the opposite side of the district. We secured a loan from a local banking institution, renovated the existing station, and worked with the county on building a substation. We still maintain a mortgage in the amount of $290,000. In the original plan, the tax district, this mortgage was to be paid by the fire tax district. Unfortunately, the fire tax district has failed to agree to a consolidation and has now declined to make payments on this mortgage. We, the corporation, have made these payments because we are under an obligation with our existing loan. I personally believe that the Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated has attempted to consolidate these two organizations together. The membership has certain things that they would like to see and have agreed upon or not agreed upon by the fire district. As the previous operators of the fire department, the mortgage holder, the owner of close to $1 million in assets, I believe that we should have some say in how this moves forward. The fire district seems to have now made it clear that it has no intent to consolidate our organization with its current operations of the fire tax district. In a recent email, Chief Schur even stated that he did not have the intention or plan to consolidate. In conclusion, the community has been very clear that we cannot afford a fully staffed station without supplemental volunteer coverage. The original proposal that the community accepted does not look at all like the current operations of this fire tax district. We use the term, or to use the term that I've heard, I feel snookered. At the time this was initially discussed, Oconee County Council, and I spoke to all the council members, indicated that it did not want to run a county fire department and wanted the community to decide exactly what it is that we were to have. The tax district appoints the commission. This is wrong. I encourage you to not move forward with this ordinance. It will cause the community to lose faith in this council and force the Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department to possibly make a decision that it does not want to make. Thank you very much.
I didn't expect to be up here so soon. My name is Elizabeth O'Connor. I live in Mountain Rest. And I recently heard on WORD radio about the flock cameras being put up in Mountain Rest. And I have an objection to that. My background is I've got some law enforcement experience. I'm a retired military combat veteran. I've looked at the list of where these cameras are. I can't see them. Now, to me, the most effective way of getting people to obey the law is to have a robust physical appearance of law enforcement officers. It's the guy running the speed traps in the morning when the school buses are running and making sure that nobody drives around the school buses. You lose that with these flock cameras. And so essentially let's say it takes 4 people. A sheriff's department is a 24-hour operation, so you would have 3 8-hour shifts, and you'd have 1 person always off for each position. And so these flock cameras are replacing jobs that could be coming to Oconee County. And it also puts the human touch back in law enforcement. I've lived in some pretty oppressive countries. I was stationed in Japan for a while. The Japanese are terrified of their own police, and it's largely kind of a surveillance state. If you're a foreigner over there, the police can come in your house anytime they want and inspect it, make sure you're not hiding anybody. It's essentially a fairly totalitarian system. I don't want to go down that road. I liked living in Japan. It was safe, but it was not worth the loss of freedom that Americans are used to. So my suggestion is, if we want to keep going down the road with flock cameras, why are we spending money on deputies? Like I said, I'm former law enforcement. I am not trying to cut the sheriff's department. But it's, what, $3,000 a year for these flock cameras? I would rather have the deputies on the road than this. I just think this is an unacceptable move. If nothing else, paint the flock camera towers orange or something, hot pink. When I drive down the road and I see a deputy running radar, first thing I do, and most people do, is look at our speedometers, make sure we're not speeding. You lose that with the flock cameras. Another issue is the length of time the information is retained. According to WORD radio, Oconee County says they retain it for 30 days. But the rest of that is that it's also forwarded to SLED. And we don't know how long SLED keeps it. And if these cameras are $2,500 or $3,000 each, the Flock Corporation is making their money somewhere. And that's got to be that they're keeping the data and they're profiting off of that data. That's an unacceptable invasion of our privacy. So I don't think the loss in what I perceive as constitutional rights is worth the increase in safety. I mean, I have game cameras up to watch my chicken coop. If the police ever came by and said, hey, something happened in your area, can we see your game cameras? Yes. But, even right now, this past week, there was 2 police officers fired, I believe, in Greer for misusing the information recorded by the flock cameras. And I just think this is an unacceptable risk to privacy. That's all I have to say.
South Carolina. Lived there 40 years of my life. I'm here about the flock cameras, my concern. A lot of it's already been addressed. But I think that we need to look into it a lot more because, or just take them on down now. Because you see all the lawsuits that's already coming up. We don't want that. We don't need that. We don't need to be charged for something that needs to be cut down already. They're doing it everywhere else. I already chopped them down. Just do your research. I've researched it for 4 days. And it's the horrible stuff that I've had to look at. It's just, I can't even believe that it's came to this. I mean, we sit here and listen to what seems to me like either lies from the sheriff or something that the sheriff was told and he was just misinformed. I don't know that he even read the whole contract. If you dive down in it a little bit, they're giving away too much access to everyone. And whether you're doing wrong, you're doing right, that's not what the point is. The point is they need to come down. That should have never went up. And I hope that y'all can get these cut down, and I won't pass it on to someone else much smarter than me that can hopefully influence y'all to do the right thing. Thanks.
David Hammond.
Thank you, guys. I'm here to voice concerns about our law enforcement and Glenda Lindsay, my mama, who was emergency protective custody a second time. And because I got her home with stage 2 bed sores, when I got her home, I took pictures of the bed sores, and I'm glad that the media is here because I think that this is a huge problem for Crenshaw, who's hired pedophiles to work in our schools, who's hired fire cops from Anderson County to guard our streets and to do what they do when they were fired at Anderson. They come here and they ring tyranny. These are the autopsy photos of the stage 4 bed sores that Glenda Lindsay died with, when the same girl who initiated the first one initiated the second one using Emily Jones, who was fired for taking a man's camera from him while she was violating his constitutional rights. She was fired in Anderson. Here in Oconee County, she was promoted to sergeant after she killed Glenda Lindsay. And yes, I said killed Glenda Lindsay. She had 2 months warning. I stopped by her office, or stopped by the sheriff's deputy, and 2 months before she did this, I reminded her of her Anderson experience without shedding light about what I was talking about. But she knew what I was talking about when I told her, I hope that you can make the right decision. Instead, I figured it would happen when my mom went to the hospital. So what I did, right here's the fired note from Anderson, Lieutenant Human, that fired Emily Jones, who's now a sergeant in Oconee County. Since when do we start allowing people to guard our streets that have been fired from other districts to come here and reign tyranny on our family? Glenda Lindsay was my mom. She was the only person that wrote my dad while he was in Vietnam, taping and wounded Vietnam vets in the jungles of Vietnam. That's what she did. Her dad was killed in the Korean War, look it up, in the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir. Her father was killed in there. And when she was while you're here in South Carolina, she come home, and I first recorded her. When she first would come home, I recorded her saying, that's why I'm exposing this dark spot that they put on my soul. She was killed by a fired cop here in Anderson. That's District 13. We have 2 other cops being charged in Pickens County for stalking his ex-wife, and another one sending dick pics to a public informant. That's here in Oconee County, a small district. These aren't Christians. These people don't care about our rights. I become a cop watcher because what they did to Glenda Lindsay. That's what started me. When I got my mama home, I settled down and I took care of her. I sent her to Oconee Memorial to get a feeding tube. Same feeding tube that she had when she had cancer. She had cancer, head, throat, and neck. I recorded her nurse because I suspected that that girl might do something like this. I recorded her nurse before I sent her to the hospital. When she went to the hospital, the girl never called me back. I recorded my phone call with Sergeant Illian, offering to be a snitch for the Oconee County Sheriff's Department to keep my family protected. So I'm pro-law enforcement. I hate cops that abuse their authority. And when they get fired from another district, they should not work for Oconee County. Ask Lieutenant Hooman, who did he fire in Anderson County and why? Because she took a camera from a guy that was recording it. I'm passionate because it was my mama. My mama kept my dad's spirits up while he was dodging bullets from the Viet Cong. He was taping up your soldiers, the men that fought for your country. And now she's dead. Stage 4 bad sores, Crenshaw. Stage 4. That's the equivalent of a 3rd-degree burn. I didn't know that she even died. You know how I know she died? My brother called me the following day, the same brother who served in the First Pacific War against Iran. He called me the next day saying Mama died on a Sunday when I was bringing my son home from the pool. Glenda Lindsay's story needs to be told, and there should be held accountability to the criminal cop that killed her. Not with the bullet, but with neglect. And Michaela Roper should be held accountable for the evil that she's done to poor people at Oconee Memorial Hospital. That's all I got to say. I appreciate the media being here, and I hope Glenda Lindsay's death was not in vain, because she was an American patriot and a humble, born-again Christian. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
Oh, thank you. We'll move on to council member comment session. I just want to start off about the flock cameras. You know that they do good. We see the good that can come of it, but we also, I think most reasonable people fear what can come of that. I appreciate the sheriff coming out here and speaking. He did not have to come up here. He came up and spoke at the committee meeting prior to. The sheriff is a constitutional officer that's elected by the public to run his office as he sees fit. He doesn't, unlike a city council, he doesn't work for the city council or the city administrator. But with that being said, I do want to make a motion. I want to move that the county council direct the county administrator and the county attorney to conduct a full review of the automatic license plate reader systems, including flock and whatever else may be out there in Oconee County. That's to be, and to return to council a written report with a legal recommendation within 60 days. And in that report, I want the scope of the council's authority, including the limits created by the sheriff's status as a separately elected constitutional officer, and the legal recommendation of actions available to the council, whether that's termination of these cameras, relocation of the cameras, whether that's through procurement, whatever that is. That's my motion. I also want to say that I think we saw tonight that the sheriff is very reasonable, but I do want to have what authority the council does have going forward.
Second.
Any discussion on my motion? If not, all in favor? Any other public comments?
Yes,
Council
sir.
member comments?
To start with, I didn't appoint Mr. Wayne Smith to there. If you want to know, I appointed the old doc. He was the one that I appointed. But out of all these conversations, I've heard accountability, transparency, fairness. I looked up transparent, and that means that you can see through something or a light will penetrate it. I don't know where there's several different definitions, but one is if you put spyware on somebody's computer and you're able to watch all the transactions coming and going on there, that transparency, I think, is a one-way transparency. Now, that's like you having somebody that's being interrogated and the other police are standing on the other window looking in, and the fellow that's being interrogated is looking at a mirror of himself. So, and I don't know, is there any fairness in that? Those words were used a lot like today, and accountability, is there any accountability in that? When you hang a camera up and the people that are being filmed, nobody in that building knows it, that they're being sent somewhere else and someone else is looking. Again, that's a one-way transparency. Somebody else is getting it and you happen to be the one that's being viewed and you don't know that you're being viewed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Public safety is number one. And I appreciate the volunteers coming, and I appreciate the comments supporting the district. It's been real divisive. And because it's divisive, it's threatening public safety. And so I just want to say, I'm not going to vote at all on this ordinance one way or other tonight, because I think the two sides need to get together for the public good, drop all the crap that's going on, and get together and work together and protect the public. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any others? So I'll speak about the fire district. Some things have been said tonight. Yes, Mr. Smith made recommendations to the council. The recommendation was not to raise taxes. The recommendation was to amend the ordinance to have a referendum go out before the citizens before a tax increase could come. He made recommendations, but we didn't include every recommendation on the ordinance. But I'll tell you what, when we get to the ordinance, I'll make a motion to amend it to include Mr. Smith's recommendation on sending it to a referendum for a millage increase. So a speaker said that this fire district wasn't needed. I agree that it was not needed. I think most voters did not know that prior to this district being formed, that the county staffed that fire station around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with 2 firefighters. What the citizens got when they passed the referendum, I think a lot of folks thought it was just a volunteer station. It was a staff manned fire station. What they got after the referendum was an additional firefighter and the administrative cost that goes along with all the administrative positions, fire chiefs that went on top of it. And it was a significant tax increase. I received a lot of calls, but I think if you, for a $25,000 vehicle, it's $34 tax increase. For a $250,000 home, it's $230 per year, and it just goes up from there. So in that, somebody says snookered. I feel the taxpayers were snookered in that referendum. So the day that district was created, the volunteer fire station was no longer the fire responders to that district, right? The district was now the fire station that responds to fires in the district. And it's a complex situation because the land that the firehouse was on is owned by Clemson University. The building is owned by the former volunteer station, which is a nonprofit organization. It's been 2 years when we passed this ordinance. We thought, hey, in 2 years everything gets settled out. But to this date, the former volunteer station that's now a nonprofit that doesn't respond to fire calls has refused to transfer the mortgage or sign a lease agreement with the district that's providing fire service to that area. They've threatened to kick them out. Now, Clemson University has transferred the lease to the fire district, so they have the lease on the land, but they still don't have a lease or mortgage for the building and being held over their head to throw them out. There's also been disputes over equipment. The equipment in the building was either paid for with taxpayer money, the county gave money to buy equipment in there, or donated money. Either way, it's the people's money, and it's being threatened to pull it out of service to not let the fire district that responds to fires in the district provide that service. So as plain as I can say that public safety should not be a leverage. And whatever the disagreement is, whether it's real or not, don't hold public safety as leverage. With that being said, we thought when we created the ordinance, the public didn't vote on the ordinance, the public voted on a referendum to create the district. This council drafted the ordinance and passed the ordinance, and at that time, we thought that 2 years would be enough time for a bunch of adults to come together and transfer the assets so that the fire protection could be provided to the citizens of that community, and it's not happening. You heard up here tonight, it's just chaos and it's a mess. And if we throw an election on top of it, it's gonna jeopardize public safety. So we're withholding the election. We're gonna hold out and see how things go, and we'll play it by ear. And hopefully everything can get settled out and worked out. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think the district needs to exist. I think the county taxpayers paid for 2 firefighters around the clock in those district, in that building to provide fire service. We have one other fire district in the county that's in Kiwi, and it primarily serves a residential neighborhood that's for the most part secluded. That area of the county serves the whole county. There's dining down there, there's shopping, there's also industry down there. And I believe what was working was probably working. Could we staff it up to one more? Probably. So when we get to the ordinance, I'm gonna ask for a motion to direct staff to investigate what that looks like to dissolve that district. It's obvious a mess and not working. I don't know if we have a group of people who was mad that they didn't get appointed to the initial board and started sowing chaos. I've seen that in politics. But public safety isn't the place to do that. That's all I have. Any other comments? All right, here now we move to second reading. We have one ordinance. It's ordinance 2026-23, an ordinance amending ordinance 2024-26, entitled an ordinance establishing the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District for fire protection, establishing the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District Commission, and other related matters.
Make a motion.
You make a motion? Have a second? Second. Any discussion? So I'm gonna move that council direct county administrator in consultation with the county attorney, the fire chief, and the emergency director to examine the feasibility and legality of dissolving the Corinth-Shiloh Fire Protection Special Purpose Tax District and returning fire protection in that area to the county, and report back to council with findings, a proposed plan, and a cost analysis. And I'm gonna say, what's today's date? Let's say 90 days. That's my motion. I made the motion in a second.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion on my motion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Not voting.
All right, so we're back to the motion on the ordinance. Any other discussion? Here none, all in favor?
Well, Matt,
Whoa, back up.
I got one thing I want to say. It is a mess down there. And I know there's a lot of folks don't like the ordinance and us, I'll call rescinding from an elected board back to an appointed board. The board that's there now is appointed. I just don't think it's the right decision at this point in time to change the composition of the board while basically it's in litigation. Both of you's got lawyers. It's being discussed. It'll be litigated before it's over with. And to throw an election for a board in the midst of that is not the right thing to do. And I'll echo what Matt said. We don't need to be doing anything that jeopardizes the life, safety, and use that as a pawn. And that's what I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. One more thing was made about appointment to fill a vacancy. The ordinance is written that you had the 2-year span before the election. We were still within that span, and per legal advice, that's the action we took within the confines of the ordinance. Also, I said I'd make a motion to amend the ordinance, but I do want to get legal advice. Mr. Chalmers not reviewed it, so I do want to make a motion to direct legal counsel to review what it would look like to amend the ordinance to have the millage go to a referendum for any increase above Mr. Smith, what was your recommendation? Was it any millage increase or above 25?
The recommendation was if the commission wanted to go above 25 mils, then it would go to a taxpayer referendum, and the taxpayers would decide, not the commission and not the council.
So I want to make the motion to direct Mr. Chomley to investigate that for a possible amendment on third reading. State law, no matter what happens, what budget they pass, the county council ultimately leverages that millage. So I do want a legal opinion on that. Second, any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I vote.
All right, so we're back to the ordinance again. Any other discussion? Hearing none for second reading for ordinance 2026-23. All in favor?
I vote.
Next, we have first reading on the following ordinances. This is an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of easement rights to Upcountry Fiber for the purpose of utility infrastructure, construction, and maintenance at property owned by Oconee County, located at the intersection of Nebo Church Road and Harvin Acres Road, Seneca, South Carolina. Such property currently identified by tax parcel number 256-00-04-031 and other matters related thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Next, we have ordinance 2026-25, an ordinance for the preservation, redevelopment, and sale of historic Oconee County Courthouse located at 211 West Main Street, Walhalla, South Carolina, and other related matters.
So moved. Second.
Second, any discussion? So this is entitled only. Before second reading, we'll have more details. But any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right, we're going to go ahead and leave the county council meeting here. They're going to get ready to go into an executive session here in a few moments. So, wow. Very powerful public comment session. I think Mr. Hammond got away from himself a little bit. I've never heard the term dick pic in a county council meeting, but I did tonight. But this thing is far from over. The Corinth-Shiloh Volunteer versus the tax district. It is far from over. And tomorrow night, we're going to talk with some of the 501c3 volunteers coming up tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And we're going to ask a lot of these same questions again. And I have to agree tonight with Chairman Durham. I think Chairman Durham spoke passionately. This is a public safety issue. And in the back of my mind, when all of this started, I think that the taxpayers were told that this was going to be a good thing. And again, the volunteers is the one that created this. They were the ones that went out and sought a tax district. And I kind of understand why they did what they did. However, it never materialized the way it should have. It took a turn, a very dark turn. And there was some conversations tonight. It was after the third week that this chief that was hired, that came from Demarest, Georgia, that everything started kind of going south. I think the commissioners that were appointed have been put into a very strange predicament. But again, at the end of the day, this is about public safety. And the public safety aspect is when you've got an organization that's fighting amongst each other, the people that pay the price are the people that live within the district. It is tough to go from a volunteer organization into a tax district. I don't think anyone will disagree with that, but there's a whole lot of things that's still going to have to be worked out. Now we've got Chairman Durham of Oconee County Council making the comments about how to get rid of it. Can we get rid of it? I'm not sure. Legally, I would think it would have to go back before a public referendum. I think it would have to go back before the taxpayers again. I really do. I think that's what the attorney Chumley, the county attorney, is going to find out, that in order to disband all of this, it's going to go back to a referendum. It'll have to be asked before the tax-paying citizens of the Corinth-Shiloh, do you want to get rid of it? I think that's what's going to be coming in 90 days. I think that's what we're going to find out in 90 days. But again, I think Matt was very passionate tonight. I think he spoke again. John Elliott made some great comments concerning this. This is a matter of public safety. That you've got the people caught in the crosshairs in of all of this, and it shouldn't be. $200 something thousand mortgage on a building in a volunteer organization. Well, again, somewhere along the line, something happened. And I don't know if it was a situation of that didn't get done like it was supposed to. But again, we're going to talk tomorrow night at 7:00. Danny Delmarco is going to be on the show. We'll have another edition, and then we're going to reach out and we're going to talk to the district themselves. We're going to have somebody come on, and we're going to discuss this. And again, like I said, Matt Durham made great points tonight. There is no question that this is a public safety issue. And the citizens are caught in the crossfire, in the crosshair of the two organizations that are having the issues. And again, litigation. Don Mize says this isn't litigation. It is. Attorneys are involved. But there is also another component that we've been told that there is an investigation going on about money. So just thought we'd pass that along too. So anyway, tomorrow night we will have another show for you starting at 7:00. Podster, we will be here, and we want you to be along with us tomorrow night. Also, too, the big news of the flock cameras. You're seeing that everywhere you go right now. These flock cameras is just the amount of what's being shared, and seeing all now that law enforcement are using these against certain individuals and certain people. So the flock cameras are not going anywhere. This is going to be another rapid problem that's happening. I think Mike Crenshaw did address all of this tonight, and I find Mike's going to be on next week with us. Mike Crenshaw, Sheriff of Oconee County, and we will discuss the flock cameras and the safety concerns. Is it a privacy issue? Glenn Hart touched on something tonight about the cameras and the flock cameras. About everywhere you go, you have cameras now. If you walk into the hospital, if you walk into a business, a restaurant, if you walk into the new Target opened up at 5:00 today, you've got video cameras everywhere. So is this an issue that needs to be addressed by a higher court? Should the Supreme Court get involved with this issue about these flock cameras? Is it invasion of privacy? Does it the Constitution? It's kind of like the Constitution is not caught up with technology. And we've been dealing with this for years. Technology has grown so rapid in just the last 15 to 20 years that a lot of the constitutional aspect of this has not caught up with it either. So again, these are great conversations that's going to be coming. But if you're just tuning in or just starting, definitely tonight's topic was the Corinth-Shiloh Special Fire District, and it got heated. It really did. There was a lot of comments. I heard from Bill Box. I know Bill Box personally. Bill Box put his 2 cents worth in, heard some of the residents that were talking about this. But again, the big thing to take away is Matt has ordered the county attorney to find out how can they get rid of it, the special tax district, and would it be under county control? We've got a whole issue coming. And again, we'll find out more as we get. Again, there's a timetable of 90 days on this. All right, tomorrow night at 9:00, we will be joined up with some of the volunteers of the 501c3. We're going to rehash this. We're going to ask these questions, and we will go from there. But again, appreciate you joining us tonight here for this Tuesday night edition of the Pot Stirrer with Jazzy Jeff. All right, until tomorrow night at 7, invite you to join us then. We will see you. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 7 here with the Pot Stirrer, Jazzy Jeff, right here for you.
From the back roads and courthouse steps of small-town South Carolina to the late-night studio where the mics never sleep, this is where decisions, rumors, and real stories collide. You're tuned in to the Pot Stirrer Podcast with Jazzy Jeff. Real talk, local issues, no fluff.